it's like there was a meme, and then Sinai, right this way, right over this way. I had to put my foot down after that meeting. I pretty much said, like, listen, these are fucking adults. They're not like I'm pretty sure they're not brain dead, and they should know that if they don't know all the justices are like a whole new seating of justices, like that's a fucking issue, right? Yeah. So stop bitching and crying, and if there's problems, you have a way to do it, because like, you know, and I'm gonna bring that energy to everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
good.
We cannot have leaders in San Andreas and those in the department literally being that fucking like I don't know. It's the crying about the SIM card shit was so dumb. It's like, oh my god, there's new judges. Wah, 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 wah. They literally can go fix it themselves, and if they're refusing to do so, it's like, you know, if you're gonna bring that energy, I'll bring it back too. I mean, I was gonna address the entire, but
shit again.
It is children's shit, yeah. And
the only reason I bring it up, I was driving around with Rissa yesterday because we were doing some shit for the Gang Olympics thing, for Thursday, and we passed by this little spot, sort of like just past the PD, and then there was a cop there, and there was I want to say a couple of Saints members there setting up Blaine County's embassy, which was literally,
it's not an embassy. I just let them hang out over there.
Oh,
yeah, it's nothing like official or nothing like that.
No, okay. I was just like, because this shit sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let them, like, you know, if they're doing like little fun shit, like, it doesn't really bother me. I thought it'd be funny to do similar, but given the fact that Opal wants the TRT down here, it is, you know, it's but yeah, I mean, look, DOJ, it's important to criticize appropriately, you know what I mean? But some people literally, whether it's PD or whether, I mean, it happens around civs too, right? Like, or even crims and whatever. People just bitch, and like they have an avenue to resolve it. And it's like, I'm not gonna stand in a meeting and watch my PD, like, fall into that. There's new justices, right? Fucking work with them, propose something forward, unless you are like, you know, unless your fucking MDT's broken. Like, they can literally fix this SIM card shit. Like, they could just ask to change it. That's it. But they only know how to cry. I don't know what the problem is. It's insane.
People would prefer to complain about the problems than actually do something about fix them. And that's not a PD thing. That's just the culture thing. That's all it comes down to, in my opinion.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways, Sinai, very excited that you're interested in joining the cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of from a distance seeing what, you know, Junior's doing, and you know, I'm someone who likes to put in work. So
good. Hell
this
yeah.
Seems like a great opportunity.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be rather honest. When Junior kind of brought up the idea, I was sort of cautious about it, not because it was coming from Junior, just to be clear, but rather we tend to get approached very often to join the cabinet, but we have a very high standard, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, in that I expect each and every person to be like sort of a self-starter, because I myself barely have time. I'm busy. Go. And as a consequence, but the moment your name came up, I was like, oh yeah, 100%. I think.
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big compliment. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
only thing was this, that rule didn't actually apply to me because Nino's told me on numerous occasions I was actually a diversity hire.
Oh,
that was
I
a
see,
joke.
I see.
No, that was a joke. If I said that, it was a joke. Yeah.
No.
I think for some time, for quite some time now, we wanted to actually do polling of the population through the polls. I think like 2 terms ago, I want to say. And the moment you came, I remember seeing you outside of Senior Bun months ago. I was like, man, we got to do this. It's just the time, just
Yeah.
other priorities kind of got in the way of even like discussing the matter. And like even right off the bat, and I'm not saying I don't want to put you in a box and say, okay, Cyane's only gonna focus on poll stuff. The way we operate is, you want to work on a project on behalf of the mayor's office, by all means. That's what we did with courts. Like literally, I don't even go to the court center anymore. Jason just makes it happen. When it comes to business shit, if a business problem comes, like I might weigh into it a little bit, but like Junior's the guy, right? And I want you to understand that you can start April. We might assign you a project, but if you find that there's areas that you can involve our office with, or you want to take on a challenge or whatever, you know, our budget's available to you, our resources available to you, and you know, it's kind of carve your own destiny is what I'm trying to underline here.
All right. Yeah. No, that sounds perfect. I think there's a lot to be done. You know, in regards to information and stuff like that, which is kind of where my passion lies. And probably a bunch of stuff that I can't even think about yet, but I will learn along the way.
Hell yeah. In terms of like politics, I'll kind of underline some things, and I think most of this you'll probably pick up over time, just the way we act, I guess. Generally speaking, when it comes to LSPD, when it comes to BCSO, when it comes to the DOJ, when it comes to Blaine County Mayor's Office, more often than not, it's jokes and it's not that serious, even though it may seem serious. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the highest priority for this office is Los Santos County. And I think when the line gets crossed into seriousness for us, where it's like it is a big deal, is if our population is being affected, citizens, regardless of who they are. I think that's kind of the has always been the core thing that we need to protect. And to kind of provide some examples to kind of paint the picture a little bit better is, if there are things that the LSPD are doing or Blaine County is doing, and LSPD, let's say, is willing to understand, but an outside entity isn't, it's now all of a sudden our problem, depending on how bad the situation may be, right? We do face a challenge, and it's a challenge in which it's hard to sort of explain in words, so I'll try my best, is that the counties are separate. They need to work together, but working together also means recognizing the sovereignty, right? If there is any imposing of anything on us, and that imposing is causing grievance to the population, it's an issue. Like, it becomes an issue. I'm going to give the most prominent recent situation. Mason-Dixie, which you'll find out soon. I'll give you this privileged information. Was a deputy who went off duty and started hunting down members of ADMC with the intent to murder them, and journal entered everything. In attempting to murder, he was shot down in the sewers. And ADMC 911 ends up, PD responds, marshals end up picking up the investigation, and before the investigation is able to conclude, they wanted to bury Mason-Dixie alongside Josh Beretta, I think his name is, another deputy. I heard this in the meeting, and while I had brought up my concerns around this for days prior, the burial kind of hit us out of nowhere. For me, there are certain, like, very moral lines that I try to enforce through the mayor's office, and some of them are kind of baked on I don't know if I can really put my finger, because morality is such a subjective thing, right? But for me, and maybe this is just like how I was raised, but if a member of law enforcement was actively trying to murder at a time where PD and the other problems exist, burying him with honors in Los Santos County, or having law enforcement have a for honors ceremony and procession is absolutely, in my mind, not only disgusting, but it infers complicity. And if that news gets out, it's pretty damaging. Now, whether,
Oh yeah.
so, hence we passed, over the next like 4 hours, we, and mind you, kept everyone in the loop, sheriff, chief, princess, that this was coming. They continued anyways, which, you know, that's their prerogative, right? And then it got approved by the DOJ. We effectively prevented a procession from taking place here, or his burial here, with some options. You will find that there is a line in there saying that if they truly want to bury him down here, they can do so privately. Privately is whatever. And then I cheekily put the line, or in the sewers if there's a thing, because if there's a burial ground down there, because quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll say this loudly, is fuck that guy. He could be buried in the sewers, because if you're a sworn officer abusing that power so callously, I think there should be a message sent that that is not appropriate. But I think the second reason for that was to, as you can imagine, certain topics can sometimes be a little sensitive. It was my way of giving a very spiritual message of this shit ain't that serious, you know. But the reason I use this as an example, right, is we will occasionally have to make these very dramatic moves. However, they will always come back to some principled reason. And how that needle kind of moves is something that may take some time, as you're kind of working with us, kind of pick up on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh my god. Yeah, this is what the hell is even happening? That's some crazy stuff. But I guess you kind of get hit with this a lot.
Very often. And unfortunately, the same tiring rhetoric tends to be used, which is, you know, Nino's insert some sort of like shitlord commentary, right?
Right.
But I think the reductionalism is probably just a consequence of, well, a lot of different things. It's easier to digest, right?
Probably.
Rather than facing, you know, it's logic versus feelings. But, you know, feelings matter, right? But, well, actually, that was the most interesting one is the argument was made, well, it's a dead body, it's about the grieving people. And I'm like, yes, it is about the grieving people. The ones that live in the city, 95% of the population, when they're like, man, these people just buried someone that was murking folks. Like, what?
Yes.
Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
This is not an event.
Speaking about
for the PD.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, speak about a skewed perspective.
Yeah. So,
Holy shit.
yes. So we do get faced with that quite a bit. It is very them versus us. Quite frankly, criminal organizations are way more. I have found that criminal organizations are way more understanding and significantly more open to negotiation and understanding the other side than the PD has. And quite frankly, LSPD and BCSO have very equal. They're not much different from each other, right? when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
I think the biggest thing with the LSPD and BCSO, they struggle to take responsibility, whereas I
Yes.
feel like criminals can, and that's all it comes down to for me.
Yes. One, accountability is impossible. I think they feel like sometimes it feels like they think themselves as special people, right? And it's very difficult to deal with that.
Yeah.
So our latest maneuver, and Turner is fantastic, but I also am aware of the challenge he faces, because he himself, there's a theory where you need I forgot, I'm going to use the wrong terminology here, but there's a theory that that there is, when you're trying to make a change, there's like a threshold that needs to be surpassed before you can start to garner like actual difference. And I forgot, like the number varies, right? In other words, like let's say you wanted culturally to make people believe that horses are dangerous, right? The threshold for that to catch on might be like 23%. And the problem with the PD, even with Turner there, is that threshold is so difficult to break through to get the message across that I genuinely think it's a mission impossible. And as such, instead of just directing desires through Turner, because it's an impossible problem, there's just too many cops to influence, we are now taking the stance of, instead of dealing with BCSO doing dumb shit down here, because they're out of my control, right? Like I can tell Turner, hey, this is a problem, he'll literally sort it, right? BCSO will do whatever the fuck they want because they are not ever held accountable. I know there's belief that there will be. It won't happen. But at the same time, LSPD also has trouble with their own accountability. So we're going to start passing legislation. If there's a problem, we'll put checks in for the PD to resolve those things. And that's where you come in, Signy, right?
Signy, yeah.
Signy, okay. I think I said Sinai at one point. I don't remember why.
It's all good. Yeah, I don't know. It's all good.
We want to make sure that the changes that we are putting in place are truly needed and not just desires by a minority that might be screaming very loud, right?
Yes.
And there was, and I'm going to use an example. You recently did a poll where I believe, I don't know what the numbers were, but it said something like people actually like the cops. I don't know. I was told the data said that people are actually very happy with the cops, and they're happy with Blaine County more than they are with LSPD. And I heard that the amount of participants was 35. And immediately in my mind, it kind of sparked, that's a insignificant amount.
Yeah.
But apparently, so I want a very similar poll, right? Well, a little bit different. I think we want more questions. But I want to put it on the ballot. And
That's perfect.
And I want everyone to participate. And I want to encourage, we need your, Los Santos County needs this census. You tell us how you're feeling. And I want to take that and actually use it to drive where our focus is. So
yeah, I think that is an excellent idea. And as you said, like 35, what is that? Like it's barely a sample size. But I mean, to be fair, Princess wanted us to continue, but I had to say, like, there's just no time. So it's like it's a little bit of unfortunate circumstance where we should have started our work earlier, but there was a bunch of stuff out of our control that happened, which forced us to do all the surveys in a time period of 48 hours, starting on a Sunday, which is, as you probably
Oh,
know, pretty quiet. But yeah, I agree. Like, if you actually want to know what people think and take the pulse of the city, you will need a larger sample size. You will also need to really think about the questions you want to ask, and that is the big challenge, because we can ask a bunch of things, but it will, like, what will it reflect truly is it's always a little bit tricky. But I think, like, if we put our minds to it and actually think about the questions and what they can tell us about what people think, it can serve as a great tool.
I love that. I think at a high level, we could probably review internally, like if you had some, how you wanted to structure the poll, we could, review it. I think the 3 areas that I'm most interested in is number 1 comes police. What is your satisfaction rating overall with law enforcement? And while I'm trying to be very nice here with my adjectives, while the ignorant may see that as, oh, but everyone's going to say the police suck, the key is that when you rerun a census in the future, it can give you trends, right?
Yeah.
So what is your overall satisfaction? What is your, is there a preferred department? Who is the closest to an ideal department for, like, in your eyes, right? LSPD, BCSO, marshals, right? Things like that, so that we can, for example, come out with it that, let's say we may come out with it like LSPD's got the lowest ratings and has the least satisfaction and has the least is the least ideal. That tells us, man, we need to focus up on the LSPD, right? I think another question that sort of area I'm interested in is, do people believe that they're do they believe that were their rights violated in the last 30 days, right? Yes, no, or maybe, like, because I want to know, like, do people feel, I think maybe there's 2 things. Do you feel like the police are actually serving and protecting you? And then the other is, do you feel that they may be doing things that are to you that may be illegal, corrupt, etc.? And I think the reason for that is I myself has experienced some wild shit. I may have a higher threshold than maybe the rest of the population doesn't care. But if they do care, that means we got to do something,
Yeah, I think, like, that's a very good point. I think people see a lot of wild shit, but they might not be in the, same position as you, with a, voice that will be heard. And there's a bunch of stuff that probably would be pretty interesting to hear about. But one thing that I'm thinking about as well is we need to frame the questions in a way that it actually reflects, kind of, like, because you were mentioning kind of the loud minority. And what I saw while taking the surveys for Princess was, for example, okay, we have a question about how have your interactions with the police been like, or with the BCSO specifically? Has it been more positive, more neutral, or more negative? And I mean, of course, a bunch of people are going to say negative because, they do crime. They don't want the police to show up and be in their way. Like, it might be, like, they might not be doing anything wrong, but they have to pick, like, a certain response because that's just how it is. So we really have to tailor the questions to suit what we want to know. If we want to understand what are problems, what are issues. So, for example, the question about what's it called? Corruption. I think corruption is like one of those words that most of the people in the city don't know what that means. And they use it to describe things that they don't like. Like, I think there's corruption going on. Might actually mean, yeah, there's something that I don't like that might be, you know, like morally ambiguous maybe, or maybe it's just, you know, someone's being an asshole, but it might not necessarily mean that there's corruption there.
She's really good.
So
Yes.
kind of wording things properly, super important.
Right. So we don't end up getting responses that are inaccurate to the intent
Yes.
of the question.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I love this. This is great. I think
And another thing that I've been thinking about since we talked to with Junior yesterday about this, and he kind of briefed me a little bit about some of the thoughts, was, so if you ask like Joe Schmo on the street, like to rate their experience with the police or their trust with the LSPD, or like how their interactions with a police officer has been, there's a bunch of stuff that comes to play. And one of the things that I feel like could be important to note is, okay, first of all, you have a couple different types of people. You have people who rarely interact with police, which is clean people. And then you have people who interact with police all the time. And they have vastly different experiences, and both of them are valid. So we have to make sure that we ask questions that kind of serve both groups, or, you know, whatever. And if we, for example, ask people to say something about their recent interactions with a police officer and how they would rate their conduct, for example, that's like one thing. They can say, "Oh yeah, it was crap. It was a 1 out of 5," and then the following, someone else can say, "No, it was my most recent interaction with the police
she's
officer
really
was a 5 out
good.
of 5." I think the more important thing to note is, did that interaction, for example, influence how you view the entire police force? Because everybody knows there's like there are bad eggs, and they will ruin the whole batch, right? So. And also, the people who have good experiences, their view won't change necessarily. They might still think the police officers and law enforcement is shit, even if they had a good experience, because bad experiences, as we know, they, weigh more. So yeah, I have a bunch of thoughts on this, but there's a lot to kind of sink one's teeth in.
I think you're right. Then there's the obvious, how do we make it in a way that people will not ADHD?
Oh yeah, that's one of my thoughts as well. Like, there can't be too many words. It has to be pretty simple. And that was
not too many questions to where
Yes.
they'd start clicking. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that is 100% one of the things that I've also been thinking about. And my suggestion is this should be split into, tackle one, I don't know, area at the
Agreed.
time.
Absolutely agreed.
So like 6 questions, 5 questions about the police, for example, that should be doable.
I really like this. And we could probably do it like in a 3-day survey, I'm thinking. Like that way, like maybe it's like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 2 days should be in the week, the normal week, because that's when the most people are around. But then still hitting a weekend for those that, are weekend heads.
And I agree 100%.
And then we publish it, publish the information.
Yes. Transparency.
Yep.
I'm 100% on the same page.
Okay. Hell yeah. Okay. This is exciting. I'm going to get you sorted with Keys. Junior will get you set up with our Discordia.
How much are that sorted?
I want to provide you an opportunity to ask me whatever. whether it's politics, policy, what are my thoughts on things. I'm a very open book, especially when I'm speaking straight. One thing you'll notice with me is I do need to politic, and sometimes what I say is not necessarily what I mean, and that's mostly because I don't trust that individual, and I have to drive them down the path that either they actually want, but they fail to see it, or politics, let's just call it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that. I used to be a reporter. I interacted with politicians a bunch, so, you know,
yes,
kind of familiar.
Oh, okay.
I'm not surprised.
All right. Hell yeah. Do you have any questions for me today?
I don't think I have any questions today. I think questions will arise as we move forward, but what I will do is I will cook a little bit on this. I already have some questions in mind, but I think after talking to you, I now have more clarity on it as well, so I can kind of sink my teeth in it.
When you see some of the legislation that we're kind of actively cooking up, the general policies, we don't discuss it outside the cabinet until I bring it up. And part of that is people manufacture the wildest things. And then act on them. Like, you know what I mean? Though, and the most simple, I'll give you we'll have something that's sensible. It'll turn into a demon, and then those people will start crying about that demon that doesn't even exist, and they'll be like, feel bad for us, we're being victimized, and we'll be sitting back like, no, that was a fleeting thought, you know. Anyways,
they'll jump the gun. No, I can see that happening. All right.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right, easy.
Well, this is exciting. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and thank you. We can attend all the PD meetings at Tsunami, and then we tend to meet up at this monument right afterwards.
All right.
A lot of folks are out right now, but you know, they'll start filtering back in the next day or so.
All right.
So, all right, hell yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And
we'll get to work.
we have a DOJ meeting. Up to you if you want to attend. It's going to be the first one with all the legislative authorities. I think it's going to take place in about 30 minutes. So,
okay.
So, all right, easy.
All right.
All right.
Good to know.
Y'all stay safe.
Go, Sonny. I won't be able to make it, but obviously, it'd be good for you
Easy.
Yeah.
Right.
30-ish minutes, you said?
Yeah, I gotta go meet with a
third
bunch of
floor
artists.
meeting room.
All right.